Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. Can anyone update us or fill us in on what we discussed Wednesday?
Yeah? No? Maybe? And you hit up all over the place, man.
I had us all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. It was you.
James said I had us all over the place. Did I? Do y'all think I had us all over the place? Well, I have to follow up on, you know, whatever, but James, I went all. I don't think we was all over the place. I don't think so.
Will. I
Um,
think you just start somewhere tomorrow.
Go get me to start somewhere. Okay, well, James, what about Daniel? Anybody go and read Daniel chapter 1? Anybody? Share with me what you learn, what you know, what you remember about Daniel.
What I looked at in Daniel chapter 1 is that even being out of place of their home, being in Nebuchadnezzar's court, that Daniel there still commanded to go and teach the Chaldeans and the other pagan people about the Lord. I think it's showing us that the Lord moves us to different places and transplants us places for His purpose. And that each opportunity that we place somewhere is an opportunity for us to not only to share, to love, and to teach, but in sharing, loving, and teaching, that's how we grow.
Hmm. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else? Well, we used Paul, we used Peter. I told you guys we would use Daniel. Um, what we was talking about, what we was discussing on Wednesday. Uh, and one of the things with Daniel that I can't do, y'all remember I'm pretty sure we remember this, where he refused to eat the king's food. Him and a couple of his friends, they just decided to uh commit to this diet of vegetables instead of the. Y'all remember that? Okay. Why did Daniel do that? We're talking about discipline, self-discipline, and uh, pretty much getting ourselves to another spiritual level. I know it's just something may seem like something simple, but uh, in this story, Daniel, he didn't. It will go against his belief, his religion. So instead of giving in to that self-discipline, it caused him to uh, keep his eye focused on what it need to be focused on was God and rely on God instead of uh yes, sir, Jay. I know you want
I had to read the whole thing.
yeah.
But what I was thinking, being that you said what you said, because back then too, they was using meat, as a sacrifice and stuff too. So I was thinking some of that might have, been his mindset too when it came to eating the king's meat.
Okay.
Well, you got to go back to Leviticus. And in Leviticus, they had a system established of what the Jews were supposed to eat and not eat. Those things that were clean and unclean, or what they say is kosher. So the king's meat was some of those things that they weren't supposed to be eating. And if you go back to what we were talking about Wednesday, we was talking about the relationship between an athlete and the way they prepare in their diet, and the relationship between a child of God and what they take in. to their temple and how they prepare and perform. So if you look at Daniel, Daniel basically made the example, which he was teaching, that hey, I got these principles and these principles have served me well. I'm gonna stick to them. The Lord told me don't do this, don't eat that, and I'm gonna honor the Lord because the Lord has taken care of me in every circumstance. And so
Hmm.
we can look at that for us when we read our Bibles, when we study the Word. There's some things in there that we're supposed to take in, and there's supposed to be a system of discipline for us.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else? Nobody on that. Okay. So we're gonna get back to Wednesday, and y'all know we read First Corinthians 9, I think 24 through 27. But Paul states in there about pretty much uh, um building up himself, physically, like I want to say one translation used buffed. I think. And I know we got into talking about, in athlete and what one, goes through and the discipline that it calls for one to do in order to become, good, great, whatever you want to call, or whatever. But if we look at that metaphor, it's a metaphor that Paul used, pretty much describing himself or comparing himself to a athlete. So what is the whole point Paul is making when he made the statement of those things, how he buffed himself and prepped himself and compared himself to an athlete? What is he overall saying? Should we go back and read? Read it there, James, since you're looking for.
Basically, in a nutshell, he's saying that the way we approach our life with God, we need to start with the end in mind. If we plan on standing on that stage at the podium with the trophy over our head, then we got to start with that vision of having that success. If we plan on being in heaven, then that's going to shape everything that we do going forward because that's the plan. The end determines how you begin.
The end determines how you begin. Begin with the end in mind. I heard that a couple of times. Not saying it's wrong, sir. Oh, you can read. Nine, 1 Corinthians 9, 24 through 27. Just so those who wasn't here Wednesday will know where we're at.
Do you not know that those who run in a race all run, but only one receives the prize? Run such a way that you may win. Everyone who competes in the game exercise self-control in all things. Then they do it to receive a perishable wreath, but we an imperishable. Therefore, I run in such a way as not without aim. I box in such a way as not beating the air, but I discipline my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified.
So Paul is saying running a pretty much battle. He hit it on the head. But you have to have this. If I say this race that Paul is talking about, right? What's the end? Since he said begin with the end in mind, what is the end? And what Paul is talking about here, what is the end that he's trying to get us to see as Christians who should discipline ourselves and live a life accordingly? What is the end that he is talking about that we should?
Right hand of God.
He said sitting on the right hand of God. Okay. Anyone else? What's the end? think Van said,
Salvation.
hmm, okay. Anyone else? My
Eternally praising God.
eternal who?
Eternally praising.
Hmm. Okay.
That's what we're gonna be doing when we get there, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna be praising God.
Okay. Yes.
I was just gonna say eternal life.
Okay. Anyone else? Y'all raising the brow, Mike, DJ, because I feel like y'all going outside of, because we all say that that heaven and salvation, but can we say salvation though?
Mm-mm.
Because I think we already got that, right?
Yeah.
We got maintained out. So is it salvation? So when Mike said the eternal praise, is that what you say? I don't want to word. Okay. There is a eternal life. I think that take on a different meaning.
And he
Yeah,
said it right here.
the right hand. Okay.
And I'm thinking that matching, the milk and honey, go.
See, James become the James. Jerry, what Jerry? Start cooking breakfast. It's the second, third Sunday he done talked about milk and honey.
But is that not what he said?
DJ, I got you, Jack. I got you.
That's one of the rewards, right? Is it not one of the rewards?
What if I don't like honey? What if I don't like milk? Oh, I don't like milk
Wait a
though.
minute,
I'm gonna drink some water and honey. Water and honey.
it's up to you. See, that goes back now. Since you're gonna say it like that, that goes back then, even with scripture. He gave it to us, but it's up to us
Mm-mm.
to do something with it. So if you don't do anything with it, you ain't gotta worry about the milk and honey,
Mm.
because you won't get there. So the milk and honey is a reward of you doing something with what he gave you. Hence you gonna say it like that.
Mm.
I would pretty much say this a couple of Sundays in a row that you're not gonna get to heaven. You're not gonna get to life in the eternal if you're not creating heaven where you at. Because the reality is, if you're walking with the Lord and you're in the court of the Lord, you're already in heaven in the present.
Okay. I'm not disagreeing with y'all. It was just salvation. Ephesians chapter 2. Just to just so that the Bible can back up, these things that we are saying. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 8 and 9. Somebody want to read that for us, please?
For by grace you have been saved through faith, and that is not of yourselves; it is the gift of God, and not as a result of works, that no one should boast.
So we can't say that it's salvation. So Mike and that y'all was saying that it's something else. It's eternal life. So we should be right now uh uh disciplining ourselves, training ourselves for the right now, is what y'all saying? Or the right now in the afterwhile.
Oh,
Okay, one saying after James said both. I'm gonna agree with James. Just this time. Cause I think Battle was just saying, you gotta have that heaven, y'all know God wants us to live in peace and the milk and honey James was talking about, huh? So okay, James, your milk and honey that you talking about, right? Is you getting your milk and honey right now, or you waiting on your milk and honey?
if I'm following his instruction, I have it now, and I also get it in the after. Because what we do now, I make sure I word this right. Because what we do now in heaven now is going to be multiplied in heaven in the after. So if we can't enjoy the heaven now, the after, you won't know what to do with it. You won't get it. You got to be able to live in the heaven now in order to be able to live in the heaven after. Because in the after, there's no correction.
In the after, there's no correction. Hmm. Okay. I can't disagree with Jane. I can't disagree. Anybody want to add anything? Nothing. Does any of this make sense? So we going to in an effort to in an effort to build ourselves to grow. Uh, what can we do to change our minds, transform our minds to this athletic or this athlete state? Where can we start? I know I've somewhat asked this question, but I really want us to think about some stuff and throw some stuff out there because you just don't know who you might help. Uh, Anybody? What can you do? What can you do?
Repeat what you said.
Hmm. What can we do um, to start this athlete, this this phase, this walk, this journey that Paul is talking about? How he's saying that he disciplined himself, how he trained himself, how he pretty much taught himself, built himself in a way so that he could run this race without, I'm not gonna say without any flaws or hiccups, because you know that's gonna come about. It just how do we get started with that? I know we talked about I think Sister Sim said on Wednesday, you got to get that mind right, right? Got to be committed. What else can we do? What else is it can we do? You know, what's the name here last week? Brother Marshall. He was talking about his blood pressure and what he did. I was like, I like, isn't that so? And that, I'm not saying there's anything bad with what he was saying by no means, but how often do something come across us in life and we respond to it the way he did? He said he went and started checking his blood pressure every day. He started walking every day. So what is it that we can do to, start moving in that direction to get ourselves to the next spiritual level? I know I went all around the word my thing or my question again, but you got it, John? Okay. Yes, sir.
Well, and I don't know if this is the start, but like I said, getting to mind, right? But just like he's referring to running a race, and just like Daniel, was wanting, the right nutrients in his body, we have to feed ourselves properly. And and for this particular race, we need to feed ourselves on the word,
Okay.
and read and study and concentrate on it so that we know what God is saying to us in the great understanding of His word. Right.
Okay, Van, let's start right there for a second. Because we will all say that we are all different, right? We will all say that we all learn differently, right? So what can we do within that? So what if I don't like to read?
This,
Somebody said, listen. Okay, Mike?
I'm going back to the other question. You ask God to help.
Ask God for help. Okay. Now how do we do that? Because I feel like we ask God for help, some of us, all the time. And do we get the help? And why we don't get the help? Jerry said you don't do nothing with what he gave you.
Asking for the help for the same thing over and over and over again, but you're not doing anything with what he give you. It's pointless.
Say it again, Jerry.
If you're gonna continue to ask
Right.
God for help over and
I got
over
a pen
again with
over
the
there.
same thing, but you're not doing anything what he's trying to give you, it's pointless.
I want her to say that again because I agree. And on top of that, sometimes we ask for stuff that we already have. He already have given it to us. We just being lazy. So how do we do that? We say we act. All I'm saying is we need to commit ourselves. Okay, God, I need help with this one. I can't. I done did all I can do. After you done did all you can do, now you ask God for the help. Well, how do we do that though?
One thing you gotta do, you gotta take yourself out of the picture. You have to, you can't ask God to help for help, and then you trying to do it. You still trying to do it.
So hold on, Jane. I'm glad you said that. So this race that Paul is talking about, that he has prepared, that he's been disciplining himself for, it's not for him.
What the race?
Yeah.
The race is for God.
Okay. That's all. You did good because that's what Paul ended up saying. Because of who he doing it for. He was talking about preaching. So I did these things in order so I can pretty much continue on, teaching, preaching, doing those things that God had called for me to do. So I don't disagree with you, Jane. Go ahead.
Because the things you gotta look at the things that you're doing, it's more or less it's glorify God. Because God had given him those instructions. And he's still living by those instructions. So all the instructions that God gives us, and every day somebody sees those instructions in us, they're magnifying God just that much more. Because everything that we should be doing should be to glorify God.
So I'm talking about getting us as an individual to another level, right? But then we turn around and say James said that we should pull ourselves out of the way. Is that, Jamal got his hand up, is that like a contradict? Are we contradicting what we're saying? Huh? No, oh, okay. I feel like some people say that we are. But, it's go ahead, Jamal. I'm sorry.
It's not a contradiction because you got to remember, once you're baptized, you put on Christ. It's Christ that's living in you. So if Christ is the one that's living in you, serving you, then you're out of the picture. The natural side of you is what I'm referring to. It's out. So everything you should be doing, it should be from a spiritual point. So if it's doing from a spiritual point, you can't not be operating. Because good and evil don't operate together, right?
Hmm, I got you. I got you.
I was just gonna say I like what Brother Marshall said last Sunday, and he asked, well, pretty much it was a question, and the question that he told us that we should start asking is this the best thing to do to imitate Jesus?
Hmm, okay.
So I think that will really help us to kind of look at ourselves and determine if we want to be committed or not.
Got you. Okay. And Jamal, I don't disagree with that at all, but I'm going to say too, I think that's for, I'm going to say mature. Huh? Yeah. Because, and I'm not picking, we all started somewhere, or whatever, but, for Reagan, how many books have you read this year? I mean, I haven't read 130 words. Let me stop. So when we think about those things, why like James was saying, uh, move yourself out the way. Do we see the importance of glorifying God? Do we see the importance of helping others? Because if I get a little notch higher spiritually, I know I'm helping somebody around me. At least God getting the glory as well, right? You know, so what else can we do outside of um reading and listening? Yes, sir.
Well, yeah, reading and listening and of course understanding, but getting to know God. What does He want from us? You know, if it is to uplift Him and to introduce Him to others, how can we introduce someone that we don't know? We talked about it weeks ago or months ago. If I know James Hall, I can tell somebody, what I know of James Hall. But if I really don't know James Hall, I can't introduce him to someone else. And so so if you just spend, 2 minutes in the Bible or whatever, and well, I go to Bible study, that's all I gotta do. But if you don't do any, research and reading on your own, and spend time with him and talk to him and have that relationship with him, it's going to be difficult to introduce him to someone else. Now, I'm not saying you have to necessarily talk to someone, and I think that's where you were going with it. Maybe I'm off a little bit. But you want to talk to people about God, and about Jesus. But you tell people who God is by many times by the things that you do and the way that you interact with people and the way that you treat people. So if you haven't, gotten to know God, you're not, to me, you're not, his spirit is not going to be living within you. Therefore, you're not going to be able to show people who God is.
Hmm.
And so, um, like I said, you have to read, you have to study and listen, whatever you got to do. You got to know God. You got to have a relationship with him. Talk to him. He will talk to you. He will give you things. You know, there are people that study a lot of things, let's say on the job or something. And they know that job, they know what that job has prepared them to do, and they can do it exactly that way. But then, sometimes you can give them throw a little monkey wrench in there. Things don't go just perfect. They don't know what to do. You know, I know me, I'm a little different probably. But a lot of times I go with my gut feeling on some things. Like, okay, there's not a rule written for this particular thing. So I go, I feel like it's God talking to me, giving me direction. And not just on the job, I mean, just in life. He gives me direction, and and I may have a boss that says, look, we need to call this person, we need to work with this person here, and this group over here in the firm, we need, so we can build our firm better if we work with them. For some reason, I won't call that person to try to work with them because something inside me, something tells me, don't, don't pursue this, for some reason. And it's like I say, it's, and I feel like it's God talking to me, like this is not the way to go. There's another way out. You need to go for success, whatever. And so, I just think that comes from just a relationship.
Hmm.
And, he has ingrained in me things. He's given us examples. You read his word. You read the Old Testament, right? It's for our learning. So there are things that they faced. So you learn situations, how to react. Could be because they reacted wrong. You see, okay, if I react like them, that's not the way to go. I need to do it a different way, whatever. But I think all of that comes together to mold us into what he wants us to be, and we need to show others who he is in the way that he is molding us. But we have to know him, have a relationship with him for that to happen.
Hmm. It's I know we talked about that. I think we did some weeks ago, maybe. Um, I know this guy. He say it all. Well, I ain't gonna say all the time, but he like, man, I should have went with my first mind. So
First,
your first mind. And what do you mean? It's like man, we're just talking about. Something just said, no, don't do this. Did you have did something else say maybe you should go ahead and do it because of such and such? You didn't have that. You just went along with what came first, right? Y'all know how many times that has happened to me, and I went with my second mind, and I was wrong.
Mm.
So all I'm saying is when, and I can't, I understand where Van is coming from. I'll say that how God, speak to us. His the Spirit works within us in that way to guide us and to help guide us, man. I mean, within our dreams, I believe this, or whatever. But uh, I don't know, Van. It was just that was something when you stated that because it's been several times where I have did just that. Matter of fact, I was early one morning when I was driving full time. I was going across this highway, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Two vehicles off the side of the road, right? Well, somebody just broke down, whatever. First thing came to mind is to slow down, stop, see what's going on, right? My second mind, Jane, said just go around. I said, no, I'm gonna go with my first mind. And I'm glad I did. It was a whole log all the way across the highway. So the reason why the car was stopped, because one hit the log, the other one stopped behind that one. So if it weren't for them in my first mind, I would have been all up on that log. Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
I was going to piggyback on what Van said. I think you pointed out something really good here. That intuition that you're getting with God is guiding you, you can't get that without spending time with it. Kind of make me think about, kind of my favorite verse right now is Joshua 1:8. Where he said that be careful to do all that's in there. So that's you spending time doing what he's training you. He said, hey man, you gotta get this 100 shots in before you can leave practice. Well, slowly you start to shoot better. You might come in and get 50 out of 100 first time. That's pretty bad. But by the time you leave, now you start to get 60, 70, 80 out of 100. And then it made me think about Hebrews 8:10, where he says that I will put my laws in their mind and I will write them on their heart, and I will be their God, and they will be my people. So he's training your that first mind. So that, if you look at anybody that's good at anything, right? Watch their reflex. They just got an instinct that usually leads them to doing the right thing. Well, they had to train to get that instinct.
Mm.
Where we get our instincts is by training ourselves, by reading and spending time with the Lord. So that we can, what it says, let this mind that was in Jesus, Christ Jesus be in you. That's what we're trying to get to. So that our natural reflex is
See
Jesus.
that? I heard that. Mm-mm. Anyone else? Anything else? Jane said I need to be quiet. All right. Well, we have about 7 minutes before worship starts.